Aloha. Is anybody here? What's that little dance I always do before you live? Hi, everybody. Let's just put my notes here. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me just say thank you all for the birthday wishes for my people yesterday. I'm so excited. We're in full preparation party mode. Hi, everybody. I see you. Welcome. We're going to jump right into it. Today we're talking about raising financially responsible kids. And I have questions personally, right? Everybody's navigating how to do this money matter. We've learned gentle parenting. We've talked about raising well-rounded kids. And I mean, if I don't talk about money, life will be solutions, okay? But knowing that your people who've done better in this, money spare than I have, it's quite important. So I'm going to bring Tolani, and she's going to come talk to us about, how to just navigate parenting when it comes to money, okay, especially as Africans. All right. So without I've done a bit of introduction in the post I put, but if you don't know Tolani, or if you don't follow Tolani, what are you doing? Let me confess here. Hi, Tolani.
Hi, hey, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Oh, thank you for
Happy
having me. Thank you for having me.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah, I just got back from my trip, so
yeah. So I
I'm
saw it
still
was
on
too
like
hot.
vacation mode.
It was too hot for my timeline. All those pictures, it
Ah,
was too steamy.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me
Yeah,
increase it a little bit. Okay,
I'm
there we
so
go.
happy you had fun. You look it. You look well rested.
Ah, it was needed. It
Yeah.
was so needed.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah,
So, Tolani is a real estate mogul, as I like to call it.
thank you.
Confession. I've been following Tolani for, I'll say almost 7, 8 years now,
Wow,
but
wow.
without my full chest. I've been following you on YouTube first. So I watch all your YouTube videos, lifestyle, money style,
Aw.
everyone. And then I'll see you on Instagram here and there. But I'm like, I think it was last year when you bought your house,
Mm-hmm.
your 18th property. How can I say your house? Your 18th property. I'm gonna follow with my full chest, and I've
Aw.
just been watching you, your growth, your journey.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So
Thank you so much.
thank you for being here. I just have a couple of questions,
Okay.
and yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited. Let's talk money.
okay, yeah, thank you. But is there anything you want to like say before we start? To your
No, I think we jump
okay,
right in. I'm excited to get into the
awesome,
discussion.
awesome.
Yeah.
So the first question I have here is, how do you teach kids about the concept of money, and what is the right age to do so?
Okay. So for that, I would say just introducing different money concepts, over time, honestly, starting as early as the toddler stage, just with the basics of what money is, as something that is used to buy things. And just playing, different things like my daughter, she loves like playing store, making it fun and interactive, but also books. As you are an author yourself, books really help. And my kids are big readers and they've learned so many different things from books. And I feel like there's so many good, like money related books out there. And I'll tell you something funny. My husband, he's like the finance nerd, like he's really
I
into
can feel that.
economics.
Yeah.
He's so into like this money space. And one day he brought home this book it was like a book about Bitcoin and blockchain. And I was just like, how is a 5-year-old gonna know, 4-year-old, sorry, gonna know anything about it? But surprisingly enough, the book was amazing. It broke down the concept in a very like simple, basic way while also telling a story. And she actually got the general concept of what blockchain, what Bitcoin is, which I
Wow,
thought was,
wow,
really amazing. So
wow.
books definitely is a great way.
Mhm.
But then I think also as they get older, my older daughter, she's nearing 5 right now. So we're starting to teach her concept of saving. And in Nigerian culture, when the uncle comes, auntie comes, when they leave, they'll give you like $20, $30 and stuff like that. So we've already started like saving it for her because she's like, where's my money? Like, don't worry, we're saving it for you. So teaching her things like that. And then obviously as they get even older, we'll start teaching like budgeting, investing, bank accounts, interest, all of those different topics.
Mhm.
But I know this question was more about like concept of money, but I think also just teaching them the value of money early on is important, in the sense that like it takes effort and it takes time
Right.
to earn money. So for example, when my daughter is asking me for a toy that she sees on a commercial, I'm already letting her know that things cost money, and it's something that you have to earn. It takes effort, it takes time, so you
Yeah.
can't just have everything that you
I
want.
love that. I love that. Thank you. So books, I've never thought about buying a money
You
related
would
book
be
for.
surprised. There's so many out there. I wouldn't. I'll have a list. I have like a couple. I don't know the names off the top of my head. I'm really bad with like names of stuff.
Mhm.
I saw somebody ask the title
Yeah.
as well. I can't remember, but I'll write it down and I can share on my stories later
All
on.
right. Thank you. So follow Tolani. She can share those details for us. Thank you so much. But let me quickly bring it home to you, right? You're the boss mom doing the thing, earning money. How were you introduced to money? Did you grow
How do
up
I?
did you grow up in Nigeria or you grew up in the States?
So I grew up in both places. So I was actually born here. Then we moved to Nigeria. I moved like every 3 to 4 years because of my dad's
Okay.
job. But I did most of like primary school in Nigeria. I was actually supposed to do secondary school, but then my dad got transferred here.
Okay.
So I did like
Was
middle school and high school here. Yeah.
okay. So how were you taught about money? Like what was the concept of money to you? And was it the same way you're instilling it in your kids now?
Yes,
That you
yes, yes, yes. So that's a really good question. So I feel like my parents, like I really think the way I think about money, my mindset of money was hugely impacted by my parents. My parents were very intentional about teaching us about saving. My parents were never big spenders. I mean, we lived a comfortable life, but to be honest, I knew we weren't poor, but I definitely did not think we were wealthy. My dad, I don't think I ever saw my dad actually even buy something for himself. He just was never a spender, right?
Mm.
My mom was the same. My mom never bought luxury items. And that's probably why today me, I've never bought any luxury
I will
item,
come
to be
there.
honest. I'm just like, I don't even see I don't know. My body cannot just pay
Mm-hmm.
that much for her. But anyway, that's another whole
Well, I guess
discussion.
in there.
So, but it's definitely an influence from my parents. One of my earliest memories is my dad telling us, "Oh, you can't have this toy because we're saving for your college." Things like that. He was, sharing with us, and then when they also, were investing in properties, and they would kind of bring us along on their journey of like why they're doing this and the reasons, for their financial decisions, which again played a huge part in my own mindset when it comes to money.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. It works. It works. Thank you for sharing
of
that.
course.
Um, so I have a question here that says, what are some signs you can spot to know if a kid is financially responsible, and
Mhm.
how do you keep encouraging that?
Okay, so I feel like my kids they're relatively young to start showing like signs of financial responsibility. But I would say that one sign is like seeing if they have a low or high time preference. So like lower time preference, meaning that they're willing to wait for things,
Mm,
right? They're okay with like delayed gratification, versus high time preference where they're wanting things like
mm,
now, instant gratification, because this definitely goes into their habits when it comes to saving.
yeah.
Those with low time preference tend to have better innately, they just have better saving habits versus those with high time preference. So I do think that when you start introducing things like allowances, you can probably start to see, how the actual natural, money habits are. And then
Mhm.
obviously encouraging things like goal setting with respect to saving. And then again, leading by example, like I mentioned with my own upbringing and my
Yeah.
own family, my own parents had a huge impact on how, I view money and how my
Yeah.
mindset when it comes to money. So just leading by example as well
That's true.
can encourage good
I never
habits.
thought, I'm learning. I'm really taking it a lot because I really never thought about the concept of how you manage your time. So how,
Yes, yeah. It translates to everything in your life, whether
yeah.
finances, everything.
Like
Yeah.
I would mostly tell my mentees, my mentoring school about, oh, if you're the type, I'll relate it to other chores or tasks in life, like
Mm.
how, like for instance, I usually use the analogy of when you're done cooking. Some people will clean up immediately after
Ah,
themselves,
yeah.
enjoy the
Yeah.
food, but some people are just like, listen, I'll come back later to that. Let me first enjoy the food. So I
Yeah.
kind of have it to delay gratification, but hearing it about time now, it really, really drives it home. And the next question will just be the opposite of that, right? Like, does it then mean, let me ask it in a practical way, if a child maybe at 5 or 6 is saying,
Mm.
I want this, I want that, or I want that now. Okay, can I buy this? My friend has this and I want it now. Obviously, based on what you just said, it means that watch this one, right? They might just be doing loud
Yeah, but
spending.
that also goes with the value. I mean, at that age, a certain age, right? They don't really understand the value. They don't understand what they're asking for. They don't understand that, hey, this is something that costs money, right? This is something that
Ah,
takes effort. So like, it's kind of a mixture of both. Just because they're saying, oh, I want this, I want that, doesn't necessarily mean per se that like, oh, they're having bad financial,
yeah.
habits or whatever. But just think like when they do make those statements, right? Encourage saying like, hey, I know you want this, but this is actually expensive. Like it's gonna take maybe a week or two or like three. Let's wait to see if you actually even really want it. Just
Mhm.
encouraging those habits of like, let's wait. You don't need it now because it's these things cost money.
Yeah,
And we want to make sure we're making the right decision without rushing into
yeah.
it.
I
Yeah.
used to feel bad telling my daughter to wait. I'd say this on my stories one time because I felt like I didn't want to have her, I didn't want her to have this mentality of, are we poor?
Yeah.
Or my mom
Yeah.
this or that. But I really love the input I got from my community that night when I shared it. They were like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, let her know that you can really and truly, no matter how rich you are, you shouldn't have everything right
Oh
now.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. I so agree with that. Yeah.
Thank you. So do as I do, not do as I say. What
Mhm.
is we can model good money behaviors to our children, even as little ones. And
Okay.
that's why I want you to talk about this designer.
Yeah. So I guess with that, like with even the low time preference thing, just encouraging that low time preference like habit, and
Mhm.
then just sharing your goals, right? Sharing your goals for big purchases. If you're buying a house, if you're doing something that's gonna take, maybe you want to go on a nice vacation, but you need to save money towards it. Kind of just having that conversation with them and bringing them in on your own like goals. Also, obviously, the way you spend money, right? So, like when you're in a store, are you letting them have everything that they want, regardless of the price? And I think it's important to point out, like, okay, things are important, things are expensive, and the value of certain things, like, okay, is it really worth the price, for example? And I know it's hard even for me. Like I always want to, you want your kids to be happy, you want them to smile.
Yeah.
And to be honest, my husband's probably better at this than me, because sometimes he'd be like, "Oh, Tolani, now, like, does she really, like, do you really need to buy this for her?"
Mhm.
And I think, yeah, he definitely has to remind me. But I think it's important because even when you're shopping for yourself, right? Like, are you comparing prices? Are you looking for deals? Are you looking for quality? And just kind of like bringing them in on the conversation, especially as my daughter is almost 5 now. So she's getting to that age where
Yeah.
she's understanding more about, why I'm making decisions or why I'm not making decisions. So making those comments like, oh, I really want this purse, but I don't think I really need it right now because I would rather save this for, the vacation I'm going on, or like my kid's birthday, we're going to planning a trip, like a family vacation trip. So I'm already telling her, oh, we're going on a family vacation. I want to save up for this. I want to get this. So kind of just bringing them in on those type of conversations, I feel like is
Yeah.
important.
And it really shapes them, to be
Yeah.
honest. It does. I think a child that is used to, oh, I'm at the store, I'm buying this, my mom is not making remarks like that. I want it, I get it. I want it, I get it.
Yeah.
Kind of also grow up into not valuing money as
Exactly. The
much.
value of money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing
No,
that.
no problem.
Do your kids motivate you financially? And if yes, how?
That's a good question. I would say definitely. I feel like they're probably the main motivation when it comes to, the decisions that we make with respect to finance. So I think with all parents, like we want to be able to provide great things for our kids, like education, enriching experiences like traveling, quality healthcare, and obviously all these things. And they all come with a price tag, unfortunately. Like nothing is free, especially nothing great in this life it tends to be free. So I think being financially literate and just being wise with money is so important, especially in this like world that we're living in right now. And honestly, all of our like 18 rental units and every single investment that we have made has definitely been with them in mind. Me and my husband, we're super passionate about building generational wealth,
Yeah.
but we're also passionate about teaching others, how to do so as well. And over the years, we've actually like mentored so many people. And a few weeks ago, actually, we officially launched
Yeah.
our community called the Finance Hub. And in this space, you know, we host events, we have workshops, we have constant community chats going
Mm-hmm.
on. We're sharing resources, guides, templates, all kinds of stuff, and even having discussions like the one that we're having right now, just to like share with other families, because I know this whole thing, like it's really hard to do it on your own. And one thing that we found is that like having mentors and having people who
Yeah.
have done it has been so key for us and key for the people that we have mentored in the past. So if you're interested in these type of topics, you know, setting your kids up for financial success and all that stuff,
Yeah.
we definitely discuss it there. I have the link to the community in my bio.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to answer your question in full, our kids definitely motivate us when it comes to our finances, and I think they've been like the kind of like the catalyst to this drive that we have and this passion that we have for creating generational wealth. To be honest,
Yeah, I love that. I saw the announcement for the Creator Success Club.
yes.
Absolutely beautiful.
So that's another community. So we have the Creator Success Club, which is more for people who are creators or want to be creators and
Okay.
monetize. Kind of basically what I've done in my own career. Because I used to work as an engineer. Just a little
Mm-hmm.
backstory. I used to work as an engineer. I worked for about 9 years in the oil and gas industry. At the same time, I was doing content creation, and then over time, I was able to, you know, make the leap and do this full time. So the Creator Success Club is more for the creators trying to
Right.
monetize their content and build a business from their content. And
Okay.
then the Finance Hub is
Right.
the community that I
Okay.
described earlier.
That
Yeah.
makes finance hub, because I see that yes, now we're talking about kids,
Yes.
but let me tell you, they're parents, whole parents of maybe one child to five children who are still struggling themselves. And how can you teach what you don't know, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's a brilliant community. The book
Exactly.
I about faith, right? It's memory recipe for kids, but everything in life is not just about like it's faith and work, right?
Yes.
So that part of me, I really love that. If I could think about a kid's book, that's Tolani will come to mind because a kid's book for finance, right?
Yes. Yes.
That might need
Yes.
research on it. So yes, if anybody is interested in joining either success creators or finance hub, definitely check out the links. They came out like I'm just like Paul is giving those pictures. I'm just like it's giving bosses. I'm just pictures.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
well done on that. And thank you for also like it's not enough to know all these things and have all these results, right?
Yeah.
Just to also want to
Yeah.
impact and teach as well. Thank you for that. So this question, I struggled with it personally even as a child,
Mhm.
right? And I feel like it kind of groomed me to that, who I can't stress myself. My father has this many properties.
Yeah.
My mother has this many properties. So the question really is, what is your take on letting your kids in on the number of assets you have? And do you think this will have any effect on their view of money?
That's a good question.
Laura is like, why do I hustle and be working when my dad and mom have like
I
80 properties? My
I rebuke that mindset. I rebuke it. But also I would say like I really believe that like their view, just because of how it shaped me, I feel like I really believe like their view on money will be shaped by, you know, our own personal action and what they see in our behaviors with respect to money. So sharing how many assets as far as like properties that we have over time is something that I plan to do as a way to just to say like, look how much, not sorry, to say not like this is how much money we have, like, oh, look at how much properties we have, but more as a way to show like, hey, this is a way we are securing our financial future, right? Not as in like, oh, we have so much money, look at how many properties we have. I still honestly, because of the way I grew up, like I said, like we were probably a lot well off than I thought
that you
growing up. My dad, if in fact you even think you are poor, like some of the things that he used to do, I'd be like, how are you really struggling like that? And I think it just helped me, it just shaped me, you know, to understand more the value of money and knowing that money is not just something you can just easily get like that. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes knowledge, right? And so that's kind of what I really want to instill in them. And yeah, I'm not gonna be telling my kids, "Oh, I have this, I have money." Yeah, it's more of like, "Hey, this is what I'm planning. This is how I'm securing our future, financial future. Not this is how much money I can spend on you, kind of thing." If that makes sense. So there's like a balance. There's a balance to it.
so from a stance of motivation as against will be entitled to it. right? Because I think that's what I saw with my parents. It's like I see them working so hard,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that's another perspective. As long as these kids see how hard you work for that money, right?
Yes.
But it's
Yes.
not like your dad is traveling, it's because it was transferred,
Exactly.
it's work that you don't have.
Exactly.
So it's compared to maybe someone, and these things come from one generation to another, because if for instance someone's mom, a kid's mom, is like, "Ah, my mom has money, all I do is just binge Netflix all day,
Yeah.
kids come back, they don't see you working." Like my kids always say, "Mommy, you're still working, you're still working on your laptop," you know. So I think modeling that hard work is one,
Yes.
then seeing that, oh, it has paid off for this, is that it helps with that entitlement
I agree.
mindset.
I
Yeah.
definitely agree.
I think one more thing that also I've seen helps with entitlement is, obviously as the kids grow into maybe a teenager and stuff, all that, oh, I know my mom can afford to buy me the latest iPhone.
Yeah.
Or I know my dad would buy me a car, at this age. But you teaching them that, like you said in the beginning, delayed gratification, or because you have it doesn't mean go spend it immediately. Also,
Exactly.
sure. Okay. So
Exactly.
transparent, talk about it, but just from the
Mhm.
angle, like, yeah, in my
Yeah.
okay.
The angle of like, hey, this is where this has taken a lot of work, right?
Mm,
And this is what we're doing this because of this, or we have this because we want to make sure that we are securing our financial future, so that in the future, we are comfortable, not so that we can spend the money now. You know what I mean?
yeah, makes
Yeah.
makes sense. Thank you. That's really insightful. So here I have a question, which I think a lot of people, especially Nigerian parents who are in maybe North America, the US, Canada, the UK, are kind of struggling with as well.
Mhm.
Can you share some insights into how you can set your kids up for success as a parent?
Mm.
Right. There's also a large audience who resides in Nigeria, but we might
Mhm.
have like solid information, but I believe the principles will be the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll leave it as like general principles. And I feel like, so we've already kind of discussed, teaching them financial responsibility. But I think honestly, like you obviously you want to do your own part in terms of how much, you making investments, you saving, all that kind of stuff. But really, when your kids become adults, like they're going to be the ones making their financial decisions. And you want to make sure that you're teaching them those concepts early on, letting them know the importance of financial
Mhm.
literacy, and also the fact that like they don't really teach, at least not in the States, they don't really teach financial literacy. They don't teach all these investment strategies, all this stuff. They don't teach them in school, right? So where are they gonna learn it? It's mostly from home, right? Especially if they're not innately just interested in those topics. You
Mhm.
kind of have to, it's the responsibility honestly lies on the parents, right? In teaching them these things. And if you feel like you're not even the best to, describe these things, books are a great way. Other people are a great way to share that information. But I'm really big on like just the learning part of it, and getting the knowledge, even as adults, as us, in our big age,
Mhm.
like also learning and continuously learning different strategies, getting a mentor, getting a financial advisor, because there's just one thing I've learned over the years. There's so much, especially in our community, minority community, that we just don't know. It's just not common knowledge
Yeah.
for us because we're not around, the rooms, we're not around the people that, know these things, right? There's a lot of like, what's it called? There's a lot of separation when it comes to, there's a lot of like, I would
Gap. Yeah.
say, yeah, when it comes to like not financial knowledge.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize it until honestly like the last couple of years, right? So, but anyway, so definitely teaching your kids financial literacy, the financial responsibility, all of that. And then on your own, being financially disciplined yourself, right? Staying knowledgeable about finances, and
Mhm.
then making those smart investment decisions early on. You as yourself having the low time preference,
Yeah.
and saving, investing, buying assets, right? Not buying liabilities.
Yeah.
Do you really need that like new car? Or, right? Would you rather put that in an investment property? Just making those smart decisions,
Yeah.
not only help yourself, but showing it that it's also a great example for your kids, right? When your kids are seeing, hey, these are the things my parents were doing,
Yeah.
at this age. These are the things that my parents were
Uh,
able to do, and it just motivates your kids when they get older. They're like, okay, this is my parents did this and this is where they are. So it's kind of like a little, you're leaving a blueprint
Yeah,
as well for your
I
kids.
love that. It's
Yeah.
not sometimes just in the actual assets you can give them. The knowledge and the modeling they've gotten from you sometimes is all the motivation. And thank you for saying. I remember, I remember. I think it was around when I was doing NYC in Nigeria. My mom would say things like, "Ah, at your age, I was already, I had built my first house, my first property, and I used to be so defensive. Like times have changed,
They have though. You got a point.
But the truth is, just even seeing how much she was able to achieve, they were able to achieve at that age also, still kind of gave me a lot of, even though I'll be defensive at some point to say, oh, justified, times have
Yeah.
changed. It was still always like a tone in my head to say, if they could do it, you can do it, go with it.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
so love that. But let's quickly talk about this idea of also like college funds, for example, or wealth funds, for example. I've seen a comment of someone saying you also don't want them to think you're poor, right? I think the benefits that kids would get from even you being very wealthy will not make them feel like they're poor. For instance, I didn't even know there was anything like student loans until I relocated to North America, right? Because in Nigeria,
Yeah. Yeah.
parents, whatever university they can afford, they pay.
Yep.
After school, you're not having to now pay up a debt you've gone to school with. But here it's different, right?
Yes. Yes.
What's your take on like how you can set them up for success in that regard?
In terms of like education, or what do you mean?
Yeah,
Like
if
saving up for.
on it could be for some people too. It's like there's this wealth fund I heard about. But do you think that building up something for them,
Mhm.
for when they get to a particular age is also like, yes, you can afford it, but is it something you would recommend for
So
parents?
that's a good question, and I feel like there are different ways, right? So if you want to get to the specifics, they have the 529s. There are different wealth funds, like you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, for saving specifically for your kids, whether it's their education. Um, so the way we have saved, or the way we are securing our, kids' financial future, is really through like our assets, right? Through our investment properties. That's kind of
I
the
like
route that we've taken.
yeah.
Because there's certain, there are pros and cons, and I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't really, give you one exact answer, but there are pros and cons to some of these funds or some certain restrictions. So you also kind of have to go based off your own, you have to know yourself, right? I think there has been some changes with the 529 rules, but previously it was like you can only spend that money on education, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say your kid got a scholarship or decided not to go to college, then you would have to figure out, what happens to that money, or how to, work, still get that money.
Okay.
But I think some of those things are really good for people who, I don't want to say like, maybe they don't want to just worry about it. They just want to have something that they know, okay,
Is there
this is what I'm putting into. This is going to go towards my kids' fund. That's great for those type of people. Now, if you are someone who is maybe more like maybe like more hands-on, you're really like savvy when it comes to like financial
well,
investments and things like that.
yeah.
I think maybe that's kind of why we've leaned towards like the other strategies. And so we also do Bitcoin. We also invest in, we've been investing in Bitcoin for a while. So that's another like strategy. So it's like, okay, one Bitcoin is for this kid, another Bitcoin is for this
I like
kid.
that.
One property, it's, again, we were more of like assets, like this asset is going to appreciate over time, and this is what we're going to use to for our kids. So that's kind of the approach that we take. But yeah, there's so many different options, and I think it depends on the person, to be honest.
I like that. I've had this kind of argument too, like um here in Canada, the government will actually put up like they will give you a, let's say, bonus. Like if you do it to a particular amount in a year, then
Mhm.
they'll top it up for you for that year, right?
Oh,
So 18, you have this college fund money set up. And I've been in a conversation where someone who is a realtor was like, I don't believe in that. Like that $500 per year they're giving you, if you
yeah. If
like
you,
real estate, do
yeah,
you know how
yeah,
much
yeah,
like
yeah. That's how my husband thinks too. He's like, yeah. But then again, it just depends on your own nature and like
yeah.
how,
And
what you're willing to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like this save up funds is like if you have a low risk appetite or you're just I don't want
Exactly.
much, like you rightly said, but either ways, you're at least setting them, having the kids in mind, having their future in mind and stuff. Let me tell you, people who are not Nigerians or maybe Africans, I'll say, you every single person I know, or let me say majority of people I know, like once they go, then they're then having to figure out, okay, how much am I then paying month on month? And for some, they haven't even settled down financially. They still have this bill and that bill, and they're worrying, right? So I think it's just always it's a great thing for a parent, right, to think of their kids. The Bible says that a great man leaves an inheritance for his children, and that's question. Do you think that there is a link between financial responsibility and our Christian faith? And if so, can you share?
Definitely, for sure. So I find that there's like two kind of like spectrum. There's this side where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna work hard, work hard, work hard, work hard, work hard. I'm gonna get to where I am. And then there's this other spectrum of like, God will provide. I'm gonna pray, 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 pray. It's only God. God is I can't really, I'm gonna do what I can, but it's up to God.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that like I think Nigerians specifically, or Africans maybe in general, kind of have that mentality of like the pray, 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 pray without really much work and effort, to be honest, if they're being really real with themselves. But I think like, the Bible even says faith without work is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And faith is really demonstrated through your good deeds performed in faith, right?
Man.
So I believe there should be a balance. Like one should work hard, but also trust God, right? It's not just about working hard, 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 hard. You also need to depend on God. So, I pray over my finances. I ask God for direction. I pray over our investment decisions. And
Mm-hmm.
again, something that drives our passion with, building generational wealth, which you even mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
is I feel like I really do feel like we are called to also help others in this different endeavor,
Yeah.
because I think God encourages us not just to work for ourselves, but to also help others. And that's kind of one of the things that, have driven this whole mentoring thing, driven this whole community thing. So yeah, they're definitely related.
Thank you for that. The spirit is one. Literally, before you talked about like having money so you can help others.
Hmm.
Thinking about that too, one of the memory verses with Soteria, the book I just authored, is like doing good to others, right? Teaching your kids how important it is, because no matter how much we try, at the end of the day, to like the Bible says that the poor you always have amongst you, right?
Yeah.
So I think for kids, even something as little as, I think you have too many toys, can we take some, to some who don't have? Sometimes I'll tell my child, you're wasting your food, that's not good. There are some kids who don't have food.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I said it to her, I think she was 3.5, and she was like, "What do you mean? Some
Yeah.
kids don't like?" She was,
Yeah.
she just it
The
went over her head.
concept, yep. It's like, huh? What do you mean? Yeah.
So I think that balance as well of letting them know that it's always good to have people in mind, help those who can't afford it, is also
Yeah.
very good link between having money, being financially responsible, and also what we do as Christians. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course. Of
Actually,
course.
about all the questions, and they were all spot on. Thank you so much. I'm just going to go through, or if you have any questions, we still have just a few more minutes. So if you have any questions, please put in the comments, and I'm going to ask Tolani. It could be about real estate, okay? Now that you have our attention. If not, you're going to go on Finance
Yes.
Hub,
So
okay,
come on, join us. Join us in the hub.
and get it. But personally, I'm also just going to ask here, as parents who want to build, I want to have 18 properties. Oh Jesus, I receive grace. um so you used to work in
Oh my gosh.
oil and gas,
Hmm.
right? And I know your husband was in paid employment too for a while.
Yeah,
Would
he's still in the
oh,
industry. He still works.
paid.
Hmm.
Okay, so would you say that, because I know there are people who would come to this part of the world, North America, leave Nigeria, and they'll be like, what, maybe based on the mindset of money grows on
Hmm.
trees, things like that, and they just don't take it easy. The credit system too doesn't allow you to really be responsible and have sense if you don't want to.
Yeah.
They'll give you your credit to go and do whatever. How can you say one can be grounded? Like if you were to give one principle to
Hmm.
say this is going to get you to your financial goal, because it helped you. What's that one thing that you will say?
Oof. It's hard to think of one thing. Hmm. I think it definitely also boils down to, like, again, financial habits, right? Like that whole low time preference thing, honestly, is it goes so far in being. So let me kind of give you a little bit of backstory of how we were even able to get up to these 18 properties, technically 19, including the one we live in. But I feel like, there was a time when we both started working, out of college, both engineers, obviously making good salary, right? And looking back, based on how much we were, making, I don't think it was, no one could look at us and be like, oh, these people are making, like, these people are making the type of money that they were making, right? Because we're very, very, low time preference. We had a goal that we wanted to, start investing, start building wealth for our future kids. And that, with that goal in mind, we were saving. Whenever we got our bonuses, so we both got bonuses at our work, we were saving all of it, right? We had a goal of, buying a property, one or two properties every
Wow.
year. And the only way we were able to do that is through saving, honestly. And then obviously at the time I was working my engineering job, I was also, doing content creation, influencer, and then things started picking up at the same time I was working. Probably um I started working in 2014 or so, and I would say things got really started picking up. I started making, good money from this side around like 2017 or so.
Okay.
And actually that was around the time when we started investing too. Around 2017 is when we started investing. And I kid you not, like 100% of the extra money that I was making from my side hustle, this content creation, was going directly into saving for the next
Mm,
property. My husband as well, he obviously, with the knowledge, or with the mindset that, oh, we want to start investing in property, he did his whole real estate course. He got his license,
mm,
and then
mm.
he also started, helping people buy homes. And then the extra income that he was getting from those deals, 100% was going towards saving for the next property. And that's honestly how, like, that's literally that. There's no secret. There's no nothing. That's exactly how we were able to grow our portfolio, right? We started with one. The next year, I think we got one again. The following year, we got maybe two. And then the following year, we started getting multiple, what's it called? Multiple units. So like multi-unit complexes. And again, it was really just by saving and not spending,
Mhm.
like, we weren't really going on trips like that. We weren't, like, the house that we had at the time was a
Yeah.
very small starter
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly, I even see the car, and I've had the same car that I had in college, my 2011 Corolla. I used it up till, was it 2 years ago, when we got like our Tesla. And it was, people
Really?
used to laugh, like, why are you still driving? Yeah, you'll be lucky. I said, like, I know you have money. Why are you still driving this Toyota Corolla? But me, I will just say also, I'm also just naturally, I don't really care about cars. I don't really care about like flashy things. That's just how I've always been. But I feel like that because I'm that way, and because my husband is even worse, honestly, than me. He's even cheaper than me. That definitely helped us just stay
Mm.
grounded, be able to save, and just focus on our goals. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I think there are levels to delayed gratification, and those need to be studied. Like what, especially when you said that car bit. But what I'm hearing you say then is savings,
Yeah.
right? I'll say is a lot of people see where you're at now. You're going on trips, you have this and have that, and you're forgetting this 10 years that
Yep.
you've like
Yeah.
process,
Yeah.
right? So you put a lot into your process, and now you're reaping
Mhm.
benefits. And obviously, based on
Yeah.
who you are, you're still able to still turn over and still
Yeah.
keep at it.
Mhm. And it's funny because honestly, for us, we always like talk about it because we feel like we're still in that like minds. Like, honestly, like, we have goals, like, we have bigger goals and things like that. And we still don't, like, people. Oh, you people have, like, to us, we're just like, oh, I mean, yeah, I guess, but like, we don't feel the way y'all. I feel like, especially this past year, after we bought our house and stuff, we started to see like perception of people doesn't match like our perception of ourselves when it comes to like wealth and stuff. And I think it's just because of our mindset of how we spend money, how we our relationship with money.
But let me ask you a question. If I gifted you an LV bag now, you will love it, you appreciate it. I know. So
Mhm. So wait, sorry, I missed that. What did you
yeah,
say?
like I want to ask a question and link it to this luxury living.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like if I gifted you an LV personal,
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll love it. I'll take it.
so it's not to say, oh, I just don't like it. You like it.
Oh no.
So how? So what will you say that it was this goal of you know what is at the end of it in your word now that I've learned low time
Yeah.
preference, right? You know what is at the end of it, of reaping all of it in the future, that is higher than your need of, looking good to the world and looking good
Oh
to people.
yeah, I didn't even talk about that. First of all, yeah, you can't care when it comes to like being financially responsible and having financial goals. Number one, please do not care about what other people think of you. Like you cannot. That is number one. Like that. Don't. I didn't even mention that because that I feel like that's a given. But like, do not make money decisions based on other people. Like,
Or
yeah. But no. But to answer your question, yeah, I would love it. Like if somebody gifted me, luxury items, I would love. Honestly, I feel like eventually I will. My the whole luxury thing, I think, is just a personal thing for me. It's not. I don't think it's wrong to buy some luxury items from here time to time. I don't think, oh, you're wasting money, especially if you do it like once in a while. Me personally, it's just not something that I'm naturally into per se. But if somebody gave it to me, oh yeah, I'll definitely take it and I'll be very happy.
I know, like as an influencer, especially, I'm sure at the times you had friends, like times you were putting away your bonus and all your
Oh
side,
yeah,
you had friends who were carrying this post, carrying that post.
yeah,
Your goal and eyes on the goal needs to be studied. Honestly, like
yeah. I feel like with that though, let me say something. With that though, and maybe it's because I have practice. Because when I was in like middle school, I went to so my dad was here. We were like expats, right? So I went to a private school, and honestly, everybody there was wealthy. Like people, this is middle school. People are carrying Coach. People are carrying LV. People are carrying all kinds of stuff. And in my mind, I just knew that it was not. My mom would be like, my parents would be like, "Excuse me, what you want to buy? What for? What?" Mm-mm. So it was never really. It just wasn't something that I knew my parents would agree to. So I never even really wanted it per se. It never really like shocked me like that. So I
mm,
think that probably is just from that, honestly, being around people who are super
yeah,
wealthy and just knowing that like, oh, that's good for you, but it doesn't really do anything for
yeah.
me.
I love your story because that was seeing the results, right? I feel like a lot of times when I talk about delayed gratification, you have to wait to reap the benefits, especially Gen Zs. I love you guys.
Oh,
It's always like
please.
for yourself. I'm top girl era. I'm
No,
not getting
honestly, it's because of sorry, let me adjust my thing. My battery's about to die. But it's because of social media though. I feel like social media has really made the whole, time preference thing even harder because everybody wants things
now.
quicker
Mhm.
now, like there's even when you're watching shows, there's no more commercials. Like you can pay to have ads move. Like there's
Yeah,
no people don't really have time to be waiting anymore. So
yeah,
it's even more important as parents to really instill that into our kids that like, hey, that's not how life is.
yeah. And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing. I'm going to quickly take two
Okay.
questions. Right. Someone had asked, I've missed it, but someone asked that what's the time frame, right, to be able to have this much property. So I guess she's asking like maybe from when you bought your first
hmm
property now.
hmm
She's she had asked that what's the time frame because she's just getting started with her husband as well.
So I feel like our time frame was accelerated just because of for just to be very honest, we were making like we had four streams of income. So our main jobs were both engineers, plus me, my side job as a creator, plus my husband having being a real estate agent. So like, and then also we have really good saving habits, right? We were saving 100% of all of our extra income,
Mhm.
which again is something that I think also when I talk about these things, it's also important to talk about like your privilege, right? So like I didn't have much student loans, right? So I don't have
Mhm.
that after the bit,
Okay.
right? Or just even health conditions. I don't have those,
Mhm.
like we didn't have those extra expenses. All of our expenses was really just us.
Mhm.
And then, from time to time, helping family here and there,
Mhm.
but nothing major, right? So we were able to really put all of this money into these investments. So it took us about 5 years to go from zero to about 17 properties. But again, accelerate. And also a lot of that, well, three of those, wait, let me count. six, five, three of those are multi-unit properties, right? So one of our properties is a 6 unit, for example. Another one is a 4 unit. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
What age did we start buying?
Thank you.
We bought I
Thank
bought
you.
my first home when I was 20. I got married when I was 25. So yeah, 25, 24, 25. Yeah.
Okay. So this question is really similar to what you just said. Someone was like, when you're saving towards a big project, what are the things you should not tamper with within the home, like feeding, buying new clothes? I think it will differ from person to person, but in your case, what were your non-negotiables even while you were saving, right? What were the things you were still
Still
doing?
doing.
Yeah.
Mm, I'll still go on vacation on my birthday. That one I'll play. Yeah, like, I mean, we were still doing. We weren't traveling all the time, but like maybe like once or twice a year. Um, and again, I would save up for it, right? And that money, I remember actually. So I just remembered one of my trips. So I remember that money was coming from my side, business, my content creation business, and then I was also using it as a way to kind of invest back into my
Very
creator business, if that makes sense. So it was like a business expense almost. But other things, um,
I mean, you still wear nice clothes, right? Since I've known you,
yeah,
it's been like
yeah,
same amount.
yeah, nice
But it's just
clothes.
okay.
I'm trying to think. Regular, yeah, just regular. We weren't like starving, like we weren't suffering
Yeah,
ourselves like that, right?
it's
Again, we were making good enough income just solely on our
good employment.
9 to 5.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay. I'm going to take one last question here that says, would you advise investing in properties as an individual or a couple, or as investing as an LLC? And that's a great question.
Oh yeah. So LLC definitely if you're trying to build. So we started off doing it individually, and then when we got our LLC, we transferred everything to our LLC because there's we can get into it later, but like there's tax implications, all that kind of stuff when it comes to LLC. So LLC is probably the smartest way. But starting off, if you don't want to, if you're just buying a home for yourself to live in, you don't need an LLC. You can just buy it as an individual. But with a couple of things though, so this might be getting too technical, but when you're doing it with loans as opposed to just buying like it cash, I can't remember the number, but there's a certain amount that you can have before your interest rate starts to like skyrocket. I don't remember the number. So you also want to like balance that. Like if you're doing it as a couple, if you're doing it, individually, you
Yeah.
just want to keep that in mind. But yeah, all of these things, again, you can ask in a finance hub. So join.
So they're going to find the link to register in your bio, and there's also a tag to the pages in your bio as well.
Yes. Yes.
But thank you so much for all your insights. I
Of
am
course. This was fun.
I'm so happy that I was able to do this with you, and thank you for making our time.
Oh,
You know,
for sure.
birthday turn up season to be
Yeah.
here. Thank you.
Yes.
I love to
Thank
know
you. This was great.
your husband as
And thanks you
well.
all for joining in.
Yes. Take care, Tolani. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Alrighty. Bye.
That was amazing. Like, even for me, I've learned a ton. And thank you for the questions. Thank you to everyone who joined. The last question we asked was about balancing your Christian faith with your money. And that's because the other live originally started for me authoring a kids book called Memory Verses with Soteria, and we actually launched tomorrow. Tomorrow is the official launch day, but pre-order has been on since May 1st, so you can still pre-order with the link in my bio. But a lot of times, like Tolani said, there as Nigerians, our mindset is always, oh, either God will do it, or let me just work, and put those aside. I really wanted her, as a Christian, doing well, making the money, buying the homes, in this part of the world, to just, impact you guys and talk about these things. I'm happy about that, how that went. So until next week, I'll see you guys. Thank you so much for everyone who joined in. Let me go continue my preparation for tomorrow. Bye. Thank you for joining.